Hello, so welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already, make sure you give it a like and a subscribe. And today I thought we would talk about the books that I have read in the first half of the year. So we're currently in June and I have read a considerable amount of books. I really wanted to film this video sitting down in front of my bookcase, but your tripod situation doesn't really work, so we're going to do it from this angle. So before we get started, make sure that you let me know what you're reading, and I want to get into what I've been reading. So 2021, obviously I've been very much on the fitness train and sort of Sarah, and I really have been reading a lot. Now if you don't know, I will just show you a little cutaway here of what my bookcase currently looks like, but I've really been enjoying reading. A Kindle is something that I really do want to invest into, seeing as though I seem to be reading a book a week, which is absurd to someone that didn't read for so many years. It was crazy to think now I can actually read happily. Hold on, I'm going to light a candle. Right, that's better. I like sitting on this part of my sofa. I just feel like it's really nice. So yeah, I'm gonna get started by just in no random order. So I started this year on the Book of Joy. So let me just pull out the books. Oh God. So many books, so many books. Okay. Okay, do you know what? We're not going to do this in any particular order, but I think I have left it in order of what I've read it in. So these are all the books that we're going to be talking about, plus the one I'm currently reading. So, firstly, we're going to talk about the Book of Joy. Now, this book is fantastic. I think I read this year, but I could have been last year. If you are struggling or just want a really happy book, now I recommended this to a lot of people. That it's basically the Archbishop of Canterbury. No, it's not. Well done, Jasmine. Well done. I've had 3 coffees today. Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Now, basically, they come together. They are really good friends, but they've only met each other for like a few times in their lives. And you basically, a conversation starter. He gives different topics of conversation and they discuss different topics. So it's really nice to see both points of view from obviously 2 very strongly influential people. So you've got the Christian side and the Buddhist side, and seeing their different opinions. This book is beautiful. It's beautifully written. I probably will reread it, and honestly, it's just really nice. And if you're in a bit of a lower state or you need a pick-me-up, absolutely would recommend this. So they basically spend 5 days together, but they talk about, for example, on day 2, fear, stress and anxiety, I would be very nervous. Frustration and anger, I will shout. Sadness and grief, despair, loneliness. But they also talk about perspective, humility, humor, acceptance, forgiveness, gratitude. You know, it is, honestly, it's an international bestseller. So this one for me, it is obviously quite a heavy book. And if you aren't spiritually, or you don't have to be religiously inclined, but definitely would recommend this. This is a phenomenal book to anyone that needs a little pick-me-up or just wants to develop themselves spiritually. I should have really said this in the beginning of the video, but most of my books are self-help books or a bit more philosophical, and that just, to me, is just my preference of reading. I really found a love of reading after I read The Secret, which obviously I've done a whole other YouTube video on, which I'll link somewhere here. But that is my forte. I like reading books like that. I like reading non-fiction. That's my preference, apart from The Alchemist, which I've spoken about before. The next book I read this year was, I really got into mindset. Now, obviously that probably relates to my fitness, but the mind management. So programs for confidence, success and happiness, the Chimp Paradox. This book is phenomenal. So I saw loads and loads of people. I always like to look at YouTube videos and what people actually say about it. And basically, your inner chimp can be your best friend or your worst enemy. This is the Chimp Paradox. It's basically that little voice in your head, which I never really thought was a thing, but it is actually really bizarre to read about because you feel normal. So the Chimp Paradox is an incredibly powerful mind management model that helps you become a happy, confident, healthier and more successful person. You recognize how your mind is working. It sets you up to be mindful. It is obviously quite an extensive book, but I really like the fact that, I don't know if you remember how textbooks are, but if you can see that, the planet to others, it basically breaks it down, and you're understanding others. It breaks it down into different subsections of what you'll be learning about. It also does summary. It really gives you takeaways that you can approach to life, and it really does make you think. I did try with all these books to do a chapter a day, if not quicker, and the Chimp Paradox is basically opened my eyes to mindset books and the way that your mindset can shift and also be a better person. And honestly, I should write little footnotes, but diffusing stress, it really does make you think, most of these books, but in different ways. So it's definitely one, if you want to expand on your mindset or become more positive, it's definitely one I would recommend. The next one I read, which broke it up a bit more philosophical, was The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. The Magic is the trilogy to The Secret, The Power, then The Magic. I had to read it. It's phenomenal. I want to really read The Secret, The Greatest Secret, or The Greatest Power, The Secret. That's going to be number 4, and that book is phenomenal. If you've ever read The Secret, and obviously the law of attraction and the way that you say what you want into the world and that it will come back to you, this is phenomenal. If you've read the first 2, it's definitely a must read, and it really basically talks about the knowledge on the world and a 28-day journey and how you can adapt that to your life. Okay, I'm trying to speed through these so that it's really easy and digestible, but whew. The next book, which is Think Like a Monk. Now, Jay Shetty, I've been listening to his podcast for so long and watching his wife's YouTube, and I literally love. Now, if you don't know who Jay Shetty is, he is actually he worked in Eccentrica, then one day he decided, you know what, I need more out of life, and he decided he wanted to become a monk. So he went and lived in the monastery, and with that level of discipline and the takeaways he had, he took himself out of the, monk surroundings and brought his teachings back to us. The way he thinks, the way he envisioned his life, even him being Asian and doing something a little bit different and deciding to be a monk when he had this high-flying job, I really could relate to this book, and I definitely am going to read it. It basically says at the back, you'll understand how to find your purpose, how to overcome negativity, how to stop overthinking, what comparison kills love, how to use your fear, why you can't find happiness by looking for it, how to learn from everyone you meet, why you are not your thoughts, why kindness is crucial to success, and much more. This book, alongside his podcast, Jay Shetty, thank you for sharing what you share. It really does, even on those lower days, put me in the right mindset for what I need to be doing. So, phenomenal book. Like, if you like Jay Shetty, if you like his podcast, it's just a must read. Carrying on, one of my dear friends sent me this book called Becoming Supernatural. Now, I started this book and then I stopped, and I was like, this is intense. This is one of the hardest books I've ever read in my life, and I knew I had to finish it, but once I really understood it, now let me explain something to you about this book. It's very much a lot about the brain, a lot about science, and it brings also the law of attraction and fuses it together. This particular book especially, you always think about, affirmations. If you know what that is, it's basically saying something's going to happen and then it will happen. It's more like visualizing the whole process, submerging yourself into meditation. It opened my eyes to meditation a lot more, and this book especially, it is a really amazing book. How common people are doing the uncommon, It is definitely something that I would recommend to a little bit more advanced in the law of attraction, or you want to see a different perspective throughout the science side. It's definitely a book that is heavier, but it's definitely worth a read once you start to get into that realm and understand it a little bit further. Okay, my next book, which I've been wanting to read for ages, and I only have 4 left, but I'm trying to keep it quite small, is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, if you haven't heard about this book, it's basically, you have 2 dads and 2 different opinions, and it's supposed to give you different life skills about finances. Now obviously financial freedom is obviously most people's goals in their 20s, but this book I've been wanting to read for so long. I think I read this book in 3 days, which was absurd to think I can read this fast, but I could not put it down. They speak about a rich dad, then a poor dad, then they give you a chapter summary, and in the chapter summary they go over the points that they've spoken about, and I think it's really, really nicely written, really digestible, and he really does want you to learn, and it's something that I would definitely recommend to people that are trying to be a bit more aware of their finances or become more financially free or aware of what they're spending their money on. The next book I actually read, and this was the start of my mindset-y books, was this book, Change Your Mindset, Change Your Life by Geraint Jones. I read this book in 2 days. This book is absolutely phenomenal. Let me tell you why. Okay, apart from it being quite short reads and he has takeaways every chapter, he breaks it down into different sections of which you can apply to your life. So trust the process, the tests in life, the power of positive thinking, Frankenstein's comes to life. I'm just reading you the table of contents. Upgrade session. It really, really makes you think and gets you in a positive mindset. For me, mindset is everything this year, and it's something I'm trying to change. Even when I do turn a bit negative, it's something that I'm really, really trying to adapt. So this book, especially for an opening of mindset books, I'd read this over the Chimp Paradox first. And then after that, I really needed to read this book. Now this is Dr. Carol S. Dweck. Can't say it, mindset. So this is all about your fixed mindset and your growth mindset. So fixed mindset is like, oh, I'm not very good at that, I can't do it. But growth mindset is like, yep, I'm not great at it now, but I'll work on it. And it's not even just at work or in the gym or fitness. It could be your family, your relationships. It's just about learning. And they take a study of children, and it's not even that. The way she's written the book and the way that you understand things is just phenomenal. It's very, very factual, very amazing to read, and it is broken down. It's quite interesting, and it makes you think where you are in life and the way that your mindset works and why it comes that way. So definitely one that I really thoroughly enjoyed reading this year. And this one I just finished, which was Untamed, Stop Pleasing, Start Living. Now this is a little bit more fiction-y compared to the other books, which are very factual. This is basically Glennon Doyle speaks about her life and her life experiences and how you cannot please everyone and how you have to be true to yourself. This book was amazing. Took a while to get into, not gonna lie. As soon as I started getting into it, it's like she chops and changes at different parts of her life. So she was married, then her husband cheated on her, spoiler alert, and then she ended up marrying a woman. She was being truthful to herself. That is exactly what this book is, just making you realize that you can't please everyone in your life, and it really, really did make me understand that. And it's definitely one I would strongly recommend to people that just want to open their mind and want to live for themselves. It's definitely one that, you know, helped me through a little bit of a dark time. So I love this book. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're on 12 now. This is the book I'm currently reading. Now, You Will Get Through This Night, Daniel Howell. Now, my sister actually bought this book. She really likes him as a YouTuber. So I started to read it because she knew I've been reading. So I'm about near enough halfway through. This is all about mental health. Now, this book is beautifully written. I would hands down say I'm thoroughly enjoying reading this. I have to stop myself reading too much because I want to absorb it so much. He splits it up into 3 sections. So I've read the first section, which is how you want to apply things now. If you're feeling a bit anxious, depressed, he explains mental health in the beginning, his understanding of it. He's also made sure that he's had psychologists and input into this, so it's very factual and can help people. The second section is all about the environment, so not worrying too much for tomorrow, but trying to stop those thoughts. And I haven't got to the third section yet, but it's the days after that. He is amazing. Now this book, you know, I'd recommend to anyone that wants to understand mental health in another realm. Doesn't mean that they have to have it themselves, but maybe someone they know has it. And it's definitely one that I would recommend to people if you are someone that you know, someone that you're close to that has mental health, or you want takeaways for yourself. It is so great. Like, it is amazing, and I'm really, really happy that I'm reading it, and I'm really happy that she bought it too, like, even though I was a bit worried. And it is a bit deep at points, but he even says in the beginning of the book, if something is too deep for you to read, just skip past it. Like, to me, that's amazing. His way of writing is very understandable. If you compare it to something like Becoming Supernatural, which is a little bit harder to read in my opinion. I am dyslexic, by the way, so you know, reading for me was really hard for years because I A, didn't really enjoy my books which were fiction, and B, I didn't really understand what I was reading. And now I'm thoroughly enjoying my book. So yeah, these are the first 11 that I seem to have got through this year, so about 2 books a month. I'm hoping to film one a little bit sooner than 6 months, but if there's any books that you'd recommend to me, I hope that you can let me know. Apart from that, I've got my little stash of books that I'm going to be reading in the next few months, and make sure you give me a follow on Instagram and let me know if there's any videos that you want me to film. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.